The real biology of insomnia and why acupuncture is getting serious attention. Most people think insomnia is a sleep problem. It's actually a failure of regulation. But when it's 2:47 a.m. and you're exhausted, but your brain is running like it's noon, it doesn't matter what is causing it. You just need to sleep. So though it's no consolation, insomnia is one of the most common disorders on the planet. Difficulty falling asleep, waking up too early, or lying there wide awake when you feel like everyone else in the world is fast asleep. Large population data show that over half of people experience sleep disturbances, and about 1 in 10 adults develop chronic insomnia, and the consequences go far beyond fatigue. We see links to hypertension, depression, cardiovascular disease, and measurable disruptions in immune function. This is a systems-level disturbance caused by poor sleep. Modern medicine does have tools, but they can fall short. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is considered first line. It can be effective, but it requires time, consistency, and access that many patients simply don't have. Medications can provide short-term relief, but they often bring trade-offs, side effects, diminishing effectiveness, and dependence. So there's a clear gap between what works in theory and what works in real life. At the center of insomnia is something deeper, chronic activation of the stress response. The brain doesn't fully power down. The body doesn't fully shift into repair mode. This pattern, sometimes called hyperarousal, shows up across multiple systems: the autonomic nervous system, inflammatory pathways, and the hormonal stress axis. It's something I spend a lot of time unpacking in the stress chapter of my book, Radical Resilience. Readers may remember how I discuss how persistent, low-grade stress keeps the body in a kind of idling state, even when you're trying to rest. And once you see insomnia through that lens, the treatment conversation starts to change. Why acupuncture is back in the conversation? Acupuncture has been used for thousands of years, but what's changed is how we study it. Clinical trials now show consistent improvements in sleep quality, duration, and overall insomnia severity. In some studies, outcomes exceed those seen with sham treatments. At the same time, adverse effects remain minimal. That combination of effectiveness with low downside is exactly what clinicians are looking for. Perhaps it also helps to explain why undergoing acupuncture treatment is a process, not a one and done. It's a way of training your body to respond in a new way. It takes some time for the training, but once you start responding, you can see lots of changes in your life and your sleep. The mechanism where it gets interesting: the emerging model of insomnia centers on dysregulation across multiple systems. Acupuncture appears to act directly on that network. It influences neurotransmitters involved in sleep regulation, including melatonin and excitatory signaling pathways. It alters nitric oxide pathways, affecting vascular and neural signaling. It shifts the autonomic nervous system, helping rebalance sympathetic and parasympathetic activity. Brain imaging studies show changes in functional connectivity across sleep-related regions. This is the same core idea I come back to in Radical Resilience. When you influence the autonomic nervous system, you're not just changing how you feel, you're changing how multiple systems coordinate. Sleep is one of the clearest places where that coordination either works or breaks down. Interest in acupuncture for insomnia is accelerating. Publications have increased rapidly in recent years, particularly in clinical and mechanistic research. There's also a divide. Clinical research emphasizes real-world effectiveness. International studies focus on mechanisms in randomized trials. Bringing those together is the next step. Standardization, better protocols, and clearer biological models. Insomnia reflects how well or how poorly the body regulates stress, inflammation, and neural signaling. Acupuncture is drawing attention because it engages all three. When a condition spans the brain, the immune system, and the stress response, approaches that work across systems start to make a lot of sense. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe.